So I'm Sioux Campbell. I'm the Disaster Management Resilience Officer for the Cairns Regional Council. When I first came to Cairns in 2011, it was not long after Cyclone Yasi, and I was made aware that for deaf people that was a difficult time. So all our warnings rely on sound, and deaf people obviously couldn't hear the things that were being broadcast and transmitted to them. One of my first jobs was to try to find out how we could make this better for the deaf community in Cairns. And so I got in touch with Deaf Services and some of the deaf people that are involved in the group and really asked them what they needed to change that situation for them so that they can be as well informed and as safe as everybody else in our community is. So the discussion that we're going to have today is with those people, Wayne Reynolds and Sue Frank from Deaf Services, and our interpreter Angela Santoro, who's going to help facilitate that conversation and tell you a bit of our journey about how we've come to the systems that we have today.
Hi Sue, I'm Wayne Reynolds. This is my sign name. I'm from Deaf Services and I'm the Community Information Facilitator. I've worked here in Cairns for 13 years. Hi, I'm Sue Frank and this is my sign name. And I'm from Deaf Services as well. And I'm a Service Access Facilitator. Hi, I'm Angela, that's my sign name. I'm an interpreter and I've been in Cairns for 7 years almost.
Thanks, Angela. So we need you to help bridge the gap with our communication services with all the work that we do. So Wayne, I was wanting to talk to you about the situation that we used to have in Cairns with disasters and what happened for deaf people receiving warnings and emergencies, and what we've done to work together to change that with the current practices that we have.
So about 7 years ago, I remember I met you at the Disaster Centre and we started having a chat about how we could provide more support for the deaf and hard of hearing in Cairns, because prior to the services we've done now, if there was a flood or a cyclone, deaf and hard of hearing people didn't know what was going on. They would have to rely on asking their neighbours or friends or family, and they were very stressed and very distraught. So that's why we started working with Sue and the council to try and set up more appropriate access services. Oh yeah, definitely. And it was trying to get the deaf and hard of hearing to be aware about what was happening, and it was a really great opportunity for us to be a part of that.
So I didn't have any experience of working with people with disabilities until I came to Cairns. And I was thinking that what I needed to do was to ask deaf what they needed to help them make it work for them. So I was just remembering the sorts of ideas that we came up with, or the sorts of suggestions that you had about what we could do that would work in practice for people around warnings and information.
Yeah. For many people, they think, oh, deaf and hard of hearing, they think about, like, you know, it's like a physical access thing, but they don't think about, like, cultural appropriateness with our, you know, yes, okay, we may have a disability, but we also have cultural practices that, you know, we have to fit in, and how do we provide something that's appropriate and culturally safe for deaf and hard of hearing people? Yeah.
So, yeah. We talked a bit about developing a trust relationship from time to time so that deaf get to know who the messages are coming from and who the information's coming from. And so we also run workshops for deaf pretty much every year now around emergency procedures. And I take some of my work to other community events that deaf people attend. So if it's NAIDOC week or we're having other community events that deaf are at, we try to be there to talk to deaf people. Do you think that's been working well?
Yes, especially for Indigenous, deaf and hard of hearing people. It's needing to know about, like, all the disaster things, and then it's saying, oh, there's a face there. There's things that information that I can get, and then as they become, you know, more familiar, it sort of spreads across the community, and everyone knows, okay, we can work in partnerships, so they understand that, you know, Sue is someone that they can easily access, that they can find this information out, and that works really well. And I think the more that we see like Sioux and the Disaster Centre, and the more that we are involved and we're able to give feedback, we don't feel so reluctant or frightened to approach. So we know that the things that we want and we need, the trust is still built into the future, so that's great.
So what sort of advice would you give deaf people in terms of preparing for disasters that might be ahead of them?
Well, so, previously we didn't have a way of actually communicating across the board. So, we're not experts about disaster and we don't really know what the words are. So working with Sue, knowing that, okay, well, SMS is something that we can use, and so we get permission from community members to get their name onto the emergency list, and so that we're able to broadcast across the whole community and give them a text message, and then we have workshops with you, and we invite all the deaf to come, and it's, for some it's like just an update on what's happening, for some it's brand new information about disasters.
Thank you.